on this episode of Man Ape Among Us.
This festival makes a believer out of any skeptic.
I followed Bigfoot's trail, and it leads me right back to Whitehall.
Where would your number one spot be for looking for Bigfoot? Honestly say, Whitehall, New York.
What I found, I would have never expected.
Up until present day, there's just sightings and sightings. It's all connected. All these woods are all connected.
We go down the darkest roads to uncover the secrets of Sasquatch.
I would love to prove it because people call us crazy, and we're not.
You're entitled to your own opinions, you're just not entitled to your own fact. You know, facts are fact.
So don't click away, because the Man Ape Among Us finale starts right now.
I think there's a host of paranormal entities or cryptozoological mysteries out there that haven't been identified yet.
I have heard but not seen.
Nothing's believable until it's right in front of you believable.
Over 400 years since English adventurers first established permanent settlements here in New England, the history of New England is filled with wonderment, mystery, and haunted locations.
New England needs to be recognized on the map as a major Sasquatch hub. If you think they can exist out there, they can't exist here.
When devil monkeys run loose and woods devils frighten local children, New England never has a shortage of stories of mysterious phenomenon.
You know, it's just a place where a lot of unexplainable things have happened throughout the years.
Yeah. Show me Bigfoot, show me your evidence. Yeah. And let's talk about it.
I'm Mike Tinsley, and for the last year I've embedded myself into the Bigfoot community and the world of cryptozoology.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Where's the body? Where's Bigfoot's body?
First Nations people of the Northwest Pacific call them Sasquatch. The Chinese call them Yaran. Come with me as we talk to the experts and go down the rabbit hole of the world of cryptozoology.
Let's go find Bigfoot, bitches.
Whether it's a Bigfoot, woods devil, or devil monkey, what I want to know, is there a man ape among us? After all the research, all the scouting missions, all the interviewing, I still haven't had my own encounter. Sure, I've seen and heard weird stuff, but nothing that I couldn't easily explain. And I've yet to understand what it is that people are seeing and why they feel the way they do and why they're so convinced that it's Bigfoot. For decades, I've heard stories of large hairy beasts lurking behind the trees from all over the northeastern United States. Some accounts are recorded in local newspapers, others become modern folklore, and yet there's so many lost to history. Because some people are just reluctant to admit that they had an encounter to a friend, never mind a neighbor or the authorities. Sometimes these people put themselves out to the public and talk about their encounters, and when they do, it encourages others to do the same. The most compelling stories come from law enforcement.
Something told me to turn my spotlight on now, something just told me to do it, and right off the kitty corner of my car, here's this creature standing there, 7.5, 8 foot tall, 400 pounds, maybe more, maybe a smidgen less, staring at me. I had my hand up, the hammer pulled back on the gun, and all I could hear in my head, believe it or not, is I'm not going to hurt you, I'm not going to hurt you.
Brian Gosling's encounter on Abear Road put Whitehall on the map and triggered a Bigfoot craze here in the Northeast.
Hi, I'm Mike, and we're here in Whitehall, New York. We came looking for leads on Bigfoot, and we walked into a festival. As far as the eye can see, Bigfoot vendors, Bigfoot experts.
Whitehall's a Sasquatch hotspot. There was a sighting just as recent as July.
Every time I talk to a witness and live their encounter with them, I feel something inside myself growing. What started out as a curiosity has now become a passion, a primal desire to take up adventure and find more clues in this mystery. Because whether you are skeptical or not, these events are happening, and it's changing people's lives.
When I was 7, I was walking with my brother. We lived in the country out in Hampton, just outskirts of town. And I was getting hit by little stones in the side of my head. And every so often I got hit with one, it was like a little pebble. And my brother was behind me, we were walking back from down the road. And I kept saying, stop throwing rocks at me. And he said, I'm not throwing rocks at you. And I turned around to yell at him after like the 3rd or 4th time I got hit with one. And when I turned around, he put his arms in the air and he said, I'm not throwing rocks at you. And just then I got hit again with one. And I looked toward the woods and I saw this creature. It was small. It was not a big one. It was small. Kind of dingy, white, dirty. Was a monster to me at 7. I had no idea who Sasquatch was. I did not know anything about it. And I screamed, ran home. My brother chased me behind me. He didn't know what I saw, but he ran with me and got to the house. Told my mother, I'm crying. I saw a monster, blah, blah, blah. When I described it to her, she had knew what I was talking about. I didn't know for years, and then everybody was telling me that you saw Bigfoot. I actually took a lie detector test and passed. Oh, wow. So, because, you know, nobody believes you. So, but the lie detector test doesn't prove that you saw Bigfoot. It just proves that you're not lying about what you say you saw.
It's hard to find purpose and grind out the research when the noise of cynicism is so discouraging.
That was here in Whitehall.
Yes.
Last year we were here and we talked to other people, and it sounds like there's a lot of sightings here in Whitehall.
There's been a lot of sightings.
Do you have any idea why they might be here?
I have no idea why, and I have no idea why we've never found one. Because I would love to prove it, because people call us crazy,
sure.
And we're not.
Yeah.
There's got to be more to this than that. I got to go back to Whitehall.
We're going to Whitehall for the second time in a row. We're going to have a blast. Can't wait to come around full circle at Whitehall. We've met a lot of cool people in the last year, and I hope to run into a lot of friends that we've met along the way. We're going to meet Steve Kulls, and we got something really cool planned where we started in Whitehall knowing absolutely nothing about Bigfoot. We're going back with not only a new perspective, but more questions.
Have you seen a Bigfoot?
I have not seen a Bigfoot, but I have heard all the stories. I've watched there was like an episode of, I think, Finding Bigfoot on Whitehall. I remember we watched it in elementary school, so I'm very deeply into the culture. I'm into the history. I've heard it all.
That's awesome.
Yes.
We are here with Whitehall organizer Barbara Spohr. All I have to say is, what did you do?
I don't know.
This wasn't this big last year when we met you, and it's incredible.
Yeah, the festival's about 25% bigger this year.
It's amazing.
It is really incredible. You know, it's awesome to hear from all the people who come back year after year. I honestly think, you know, people are giving me props, but I really think it's the people that are making this festival what it is. Yeah, so I give all the credit to the people, because, you know, people come back year after year and they tell their friends. So they tell their friends and family, and then they come. I just heard someone went and picked up their family member from Montana who flew in here just for this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've heard people are from Florida, the UK, really kind of everywhere across the country, and even the globe, which is kind of awesome.
It's a worldwide event now.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We started coming up last year just to get into the Bigfoot community. I didn't really know much about it other than bumper stickers and coffee mugs, right? And I come here, I learn about, well, we talk to you, learn about the festival, learn about Brian Gosling's story, and Paul told us about more stories, and we meet more people with more stories.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. It's alive and well.
This festival makes a believer out of
Definitely.
any skeptic, I think. There's just so much fun energy surrounding this topic in general. And, you know, there's so much compelling research evidence that, you know, from our researchers, and just hearing their stories and hearing everyone's story. You know, everyone here, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people here have a story to tell.
Yeah.
I actually just ran into a friend of mine at one of the booths here. She was like, I've never said anything to anyone, and it just came out of my mouth that I saw a Bigfoot one day. And I was like, what better place to let that come out than at the Sasquatch Festival,
yes.
you know? So it's such a great environment. I mean, obviously you can feel the energy here, and it's just so positive and cool, and yeah, it just makes you want to believe that there's more.
It's a welcoming vibe too, and that might have to be that small town community that you guys have here, but it's like we come in and we kind of. It's nice. It's a good feeling. Kind of feel at home.
I'm so glad you feel that way. We work really hard to kind of keep it community based, but for a larger audience. That's always been my goal. Is, you know, a lot of local organizations have gotten their start from this festival. They're able to raise money. They're able to start projects. So the fact that you feel that community feel, I mean, that makes it all worth it.
And we're trying to bring it back to New England and have fun. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part and doing whatever you did to help make this happen. Thank you, because it's so much fun.
I appreciate that very, very much. It takes a village. It takes a lot of helping hands. We've had a lot more volunteers come on this year. It just wouldn't be possible without really all of the people who helped make it happen.
I remember coming to the first Sasquatch Festival when it was like this little cardboard cutout picture frame, and then it was a mini calling contest, and then the next year it like slightly got bigger, and then in 2019 I actually volunteered for the festival because I was a part of Honor Society, so I needed some hours, and I knew Barb from volunteering before. And there was 40 vendors at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this seems so much more bigger than what it was at one point, which is crazy to think that we thought that was big. Barb has been so great about being like, you know, you're not doing something that you're told you have to do. She's like, you want to work on branding, like you can work on branding, which is just having something so versatile has been really awesome.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good seeing you again. We saw you a
Likewise.
couple weeks ago and over the summer, so for us it's great coming here and seeing familiar faces.
Oh, sure. First year here, and what a great festival.
Cool.
You know, it's nothing better than something that's all about Bigfoot.
I was surprised to hear that Bigfoot is actually here in Whitehall or around, so we don't have to go to the West Coast to find Bigfoot.
Sure.
And we were just talking, you think it's right here in the Northeast?
Oh yeah. Just as much potential, I think, as the West Coast too. We just have a quieter audience, I think. You know, not as many people speak about it, and you know, we don't know why that is or whatever. Yeah, until you start prodding, you're not going to get the stories that you might, you know, in some of the other parts of the country. It's kind of interesting that the discoveries start happening on the West Coast, where we have reports from the 1800s around here.
Yeah.
Right, and so those shouldn't be dismissed by any means, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
the fact that they continue up to present day means that there's probably something to it.
Yeah.
You know, so if, you know, I have an experience where I'll be sitting around with 5 guys and I'll mention it and one will have a story. And that's a pretty high ratio, I think.
Yeah.
We met Joey and Anthony of the Finding Dystopia YouTube channel. They've teamed up with Brian Goslin for a research documentary and shared a booth together at the festival. We discussed some of the tools and tech that they use in their paranormal encrypted research. We could have talked for days, but the DJ booth across from us didn't make it possible to record a great interview.
So if you see something and you press the trigger, you'll get the capture on the camera.
Okay.
If you're
Walking around Whitehall and I bump into Dave McCullough. Dave, how's it going?
Good.
It's
Nice to see you again, Mike.
So,
Nice
what do you think of today? It's a beautiful day, huh?
Oh, this turned out great. Like I was telling you earlier, it was fog and cloudy. 4 or 5 years ago, there was 30 people here. No vendors, no food trucks. And now it's just, they really made quite the festival out of this.
Yeah, it's a great day.
Yeah.
The sun's out, people are having a great time, there's food. They even got a beer tent here, which I thought was really cool.
20 years ago was my first time up here I went on a BFRO expedition. Get out with some great guys from around here. I've had a lot of activity, actually. I've seen some orbs, first time out with the BFRO. I come up a couple of years later on my own, got some interesting sounds, grunts. Just a great place. You can get lost out in these woods out here. It's so vast.
Yeah, that's what's fun. We talk to people that are from here, and you know, a lot of people have had sightings or know somebody that's had a sighting. What do you think that makes Whitehall so special with Bigfoot?
I think because it's right connected to the Adirondack Park, and it's like all these towns around here, very low population. It's safe. There's just farm after farm. If you drive around these roads, there's plenty of game, you see all kinds of animals.
Because I'll be honest with you, Dave, when we first came up, we weren't sure about this Bigfoot thing. Is it real? Is it not? Is it a hoax? Is it just fun? But talking to people, especially somebody like Brian, who was in law enforcement, and even somebody else we just talked to said they took a polygraph, and they're being honest. They see something, and things are really happening.
Right. His case really put Bigfoot on the East Coast map. Everything was out on the West Coast. When I first got into it, I thought the same thing. It's all around the country but New England. And once I read Paul Bartholomew, he's actually here with us too. His book, Monsters of the North Woods, but Brian Goslin's case on Abear Road, for me, that sealed the deal. There were so many cops involved. And he told me some good stories on his own that afterwards they all met up at a diner, and guys that were there on the scene that saw it, they were denying it back at the diner. And one guy had a cup of coffee and his hand couldn't stop shaking. And I didn't see a thing. I didn't see nothing. I don't want to talk about it. And so you get people like that where they did see it, but they still deny it.
Well, I think that's part of the story we learned last time, that Dan Gordon's partner, when he was on the force, he had his sighting.
Yeah.
His partner wouldn't come true.
Right.
But Dan was more than one.
Right.
We talked to Andy, who said, kind of told us his side of the story, or what, his brother. And from what he says, he took his brother's word for it. There's no reason he would have anything to lie, make it up, or any of that. So this is all really cool stuff.
Yeah, I actually met Dan Gordon here before this thing took off. It was very low key and very convincing. Another one that his partner wouldn't get out of the car, and he just said, that wasn't a bear.
So we bumped into Mike Familant in the shadow of the big red eye here in Whitehall. We just ran into him last week in New Hampshire at a library.
We're just
event.
butting into each other everywhere we go. I love it.
So tell us a little bit about this place.
Sure. Well, Whitehall is just the epicenter of Bigfoot activity here on the northeast eastern seaboard, and it's so great because look at all the people that it attracts. This is such a great event. You just can't, the weather is phenomenal. You cannot get a better day and a better place to celebrate Bigfoot than Whitehall, New York. Right?
I love it.
We're doing it.
Bumping into people from all over the Northeast, and when I started this a year ago, I didn't think there was Bigfoot in the Northeast. I thought it was only in the Northwest Pacific.
Yeah.
And Brian Goslin told me otherwise.
Sure.
So it was cool to mix it up with him last year, get to learn a lot about Whitehall and a lot about what brings people here. And this event's growing.
Yeah.
You travel a lot through the Northeast and around the country. What do you see? Do you see a lot of enthusiasm? What do you kind of see in the Bigfoot community?
Bigfoot is the next biggest thing. It really is. Everybody loves Bigfoot. It's such a cultural shock to everything. It's so everybody, back in the day, people didn't want to talk about Bigfoots or whatever. It was such a taboo topic, right? Nowadays, look. I did 100 library presentations just last year looking for Bigfoot. If that doesn't show that Bigfoot is in the inn, then I don't know what does.
And you must have had stories from each one of those events.
Oh, everybody.
What's your favorite story?
Man, my favorite story, it happened back, I believe it was in the early 1900s, but it was in Battle Mountain, Nevada, I think it was, and there was a wildfire, and there was a big fire. The wildland firefighters were all taking a break, right, and kind of sitting in a little circle while they're, whatever. A Bigfoot comes out of the woods smoking, charred, burning, and passes out right in front of their feet.
Wow.
They put him in the ambulance. They had an ambulance there. They start IVs. They listen to their abdominal sounds, everything. It's very well documented. I don't know if it's a true story, but if it is, it's pretty phenomenal.
Wow, that's
Yeah, that's cool.
Never had a Bigfoot sighting myself, but I'm kind of, I'll say I'm forcing it, but I'm trying to find that hot spot here in the Northeast where I might be likely to find one.
Maybe tonight.
Maybe tonight.
I met Steve Kulls during my first trip to the Whitehall Sasquatch Calling Festival. He was cool enough to hang out for an interview. We later connected on social media and crossed paths again on a story I was following in Henniker with the New Hampshire Bigfoot Society. Steve and his team arrived a few days after Kelly and I, only to find a stump squatch for themselves. The Squatch D invited me onto his podcast to discuss it.
There are times, and I think that was an eye-opener for you, when you start talking to a witness, and originally their story sounds pretty solid. Well, they have this video, it's questionable. They have another video, it's questionable. And then you meet them, and you start talking to them, and you realize, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Steve invited me to his undisclosed personal research area located somewhere in the Adirondacks State Park. This park was established in 1892, and at 6.1 million acres, it's the largest park in the contiguous United States. It contains 46 high peaks, 2,800 lakes and ponds, 30,000 miles of rivers and streams, and an estimated 200,000 acres of old-growth forests.
So we wrapped up another event here at Whitehall. We ran into old faces that we've seen throughout the year and made some new friends. This is amazing. Our night's not over. we're gonna go with Steve Kulls, the Sasquatch detective himself, to his own personal research area and do some night investigations. I'm so pumped. We get all our stuff together. This is gonna be epic. We are in Steve Kulls' Bigfoot convoy after the Whitehall Festival, headed to his research location in the Adirondacks. Trying to keep up, and we don't know where it is. Other than the fact that they have Cumbies and Dollar Generals, it feels like home, but we don't know where we're going.
Mike, just keep following Pops. He knows where he's going now.
Okay.
She pulled out and back behind me, and I thought everybody was behind because I couldn't see shit.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, he knows where we are. He saw where I turned off. So he's bringing you all back to where I turned off.
Okay, we got the green light, so we're headed that way.
All right. Yep, you should be there in a few minutes.
Awesome.
All right. Bye.
They just did it UE. And they're going the way they can.
We'll see what happens. We'll see if we'll get there in one piece. If we see a Bigfoot here in Whitehall, how are we going to process this? Are we going to suspect a hoax or a setup? Do you think there's a possibility that we could actually have our very own encounter tonight?
What is happening?
John.
Sherry jumped in front of Steve.
Yeah.
And Steve turned, and I saw somebody turn, but because there were so many cars in a row,
Yep.
I didn't know it was him.
Yep.
And she already knew where she was going. I can't find him. He's back a quarter mile back with his blinkers on. And I'm like, I can't see that coming from this direction. So we're going to turn around, go back. There's a sign that has horseback riding and all that. I don't know if you saw it. It's on the brown signs. It's on the right-hand side. Before we get to that Sunoco gas station.
Right, yeah.
So if you guys want to take the lead, he should be by the road with his, on the right-hand side with his four ways on.
So how far down do you think on the right?
We're probably 3-4 miles.
Okay.
I'll call him again. I was trying to find a place to turn around, and I was like, I don't know this area, especially at night. But I'll take the lead again.
Yeah, if you're more familiar with it, I mean, I don't mind.
I came in this way today, and I know we got to Sunoco. We've gone too far.
Yeah. I mean, I'll follow you. I trust you. You got it.
Turned around like twice, 3 times.
Oh, that's been our whole day, right? Has been taking detours and stuff. So
Ben's gonna lead.
All right, cool. So we're out here in the Adirondacks and we're climbing a mountain. We're hoping that the convoy didn't break up too much and we end up where we're supposed to go. With all that being said, my wife knows where we're at, but we didn't tell anybody else. Now that I think about it, if nobody knows we're out here, this might be our last video ever made. Pops had a hard time sticking behind everybody. I trust he kind of knows where he's going, or at least somebody holds up for us. Oh, I see cars way up there. All right. We see some life. Oh, there's a whole bunch of life down here. Well, you want them to go around?
We're here with Steve Kulls, and we're in an undisclosed location.
In the Adirondacks State Park.
And he's taking us out to kind of see if we can find Bigfoot. How long you been coming here, Steve?
Since 2000, so it's been a while, 24 years.
Wow.
I was brought here originally by a couple that went off trail. And the gentleman, very reputable guy, came up here all his life, encountered every type of wildlife that was up here. He goes off trail and something started screaming at him and his wife. They got to a certain point, they got to a waterway. They decided to get out of there, and as they're going out there, something is following them. And they can see it out of the corner of their eye. It's moving tree to tree, dark, tall, making these screams. And, you know, he described it as they could feel it in his chest. So that, to me, told me it was a territorial thing.
Okay.
So that put me out here. Nezra, they've had some experiences. I've had some vocalizations over the years at that point. And then finally in 2011, I had my first sighting in here. It was a little more towards the road a little bit. And there's a telephone pole up there, maybe about 100, 125 feet. I had to go to my car to get batteries. I had a team in there, and we had been hearing things all night long, things moving in. We'd move out, they would proceed. I went to get batteries. We were on our break. Fire was going. Everybody was kind of chuckling a little bit. And I came out to get batteries for my headlamp, and I had a flashlight, and I shined it down. Downhill behind me is the north side, nothing. I flung it around to the south side, which is uphill here, and there were these two eyes reflecting back at me, eye off the ground, standing next to the telephone pole, on, you know, probably a very dark orange, almost a red, not quite a red, but it was very dark orange, and I could see it blinking at me. And then I stood there, I basically froze. I had the flashlight up like this, and I froze. And I watched it, and it was watching me back, and I just shook the light a little bit, it turned, and it went back into the wood line. And as that's going on, the radio chirps and says, "Hey, Steve, we got a lot of movement going to the southwest side of the camp," which, that's the southwest side. Yeah, I know. We get ops team out here now. So that was my first sighting here, and they actually went and looked, and we kind of figured out the height of it. And the two guys that I sent up there, him and the cameraman that was there actually found dirt where it stepped in, and the dirt was still falling in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was really fresh. Last year we got a really good vocal out of here. That was it for the night. We've had rocks thrown at us here before. So it's really a great area. So tonight's goal is basically to evoke some kind of experience for people. Obviously, everybody here has been invited by me personally. And see, we got news. Yeah, go for Steve.
Evan's gonna do 3 knocks in 3.
Roger that. 3 knocks in 3. And that's how we do things. So we have all kinds of technologies we are trying to employ tonight just to capture something or get some kind of recording. There's some trail cams placed as well that will be picked up at the end of the mission. So there's all these little things in place. We got thermals, obviously I got my thermal, we've got night vision, we've got IR cameras running, some people have. We have a parabolic dish out there. It's always good to have some multiple layers of technology in place. We have some night vision equipment, so we can see at night, but we're almost getting to the point where we're seeing as good as they are. So there's a lot of different ways to try to provoke an experience or get something to come out and say hello to us. The springtime and like the summertime, you hear something like a rock or something fall, it's very clear and distinct. Here you gotta kind of really be on your toes about it. But what you're looking for is that shuffle or that pattern of football, or you're getting something psh, psh, psh. Not necessarily something falling. When we employ technology, our whole goal is to, at our normal lessons, we employ technology in the hopes to kind of get their curiosity piqued and have them come in. And hopefully we can catch some of their activity. You gotta let them think they're in control. When you're out in the field, you got to let them think they're in control. That's why you put the technology out, you let them come to you. Come on, let's hear you guys. Me again. You know me. Come on in, say hello.
My shoes.
I will chew you.
If that's shoes there, then who the hell's over there?
Come on, fellas.
Yeah, I think so too.
A lot of pressure.
No, it's not this.
If you'd like to use that knock and give a few knocks on a tree there.
Jesus, what happened to him? It's like a 4-year-old running over that. I know.
While Steve and his crew were hopeful, we found no evidence of Bigfoot that night. After the investigation, Steve brought us back to his car to show us something.
You haven't seen this.
No.
That is the one I cast up here.
That is very nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
And that is the cast that's found up on the ridge over here.
Yeah, that's very similar, Steve.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's the same. I think it's the same boogie.
He's the same guy. Right on. Very nice.
Every case is a new case, and you have to treat it from the ground up. You know, no matter what you believe, you leave your biases at the door. Okay, it could be Bigfoot, may not be Bigfoot. At least I'm smart enough to know there is such a thing as Bigfoot. Yeah. Right, and I'm not. That's why I'm not a debunker, and that's not what I do. I'm a investigator, an investigator, and what I do is I get to the truth of things. I've been to 46 states, you know, in search of this. My background was forensic interviewing and behavior and neurolinguistics and all that fun stuff. So there's so much to this mystery to get into. I've been doing this now, what, 98, it's 24, 26 years I've been doing this. And we should embrace each other and help each other. And even the woo folks, you know, and some people have asked me for help that believe in woo stuff, and that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinions, you're just not entitled to your own facts. Sure. You know, facts are facts. When I have, you know, people that constantly say they have habituations and they have all these interactions, but yet they never give us a good vocalization. They never give us a track. Yeah. You know, when people see tree structures everywhere, but never come up with one print. Well, how did you know a Sasquatch or Bigfoot made that? We have to adhere to some principles and some process. And, you know, when people start seeing tree structures and automatically assuming it's Bigfoot, when there's tons more common explanations of that, you know, well, have there been any sightings in the area? Well, no. Have you found any tracks? Well, no. So what makes you think this is Bigfoot? That's just showing your bias, your confirmation bias, that you want to believe Bigfoot so bad that every little thing you can't explain, you attribute to Bigfoot.
When we went to Portland, we met with Lauren Coleman, and he has a problem with kind of that belief religion side, if you will.
Absolutely.
And as an investigator, and you're looking for science, you got to take that right out of the equation.
Right.
What would you say to somebody who was going to get into the squatching?
Don't. No. Don't. You got to be very careful who you trust. Have I made mistakes in the past trusting a couple? Sure. It's part of that learning. Even though you're out here and seeing all these friends, right? We're not part of any official group, right? I have a team that I use on missions, and I call them in when we need the team. Right? The whole idea is that you keep your unit small, and if you're out there to enjoy it, enjoy it. Grab a friend, grab a buddy, go out, enjoy it. Learn. Tag along with people you trust. Tag along with people that are respected. Don't tag along with the people that are seeing Bigfoot every day, every time they go out, because that just doesn't happen.
I think a lot of people think that Bigfoot will actually walk out of the clouds, walk out of the fog, walk through a slit in the time-space continuum. I don't know that I can wrap my brain around that. And it's not because I'm stupid. It's because I want to trust what I know, what I can see. I can imagine a lot of different things, but that doesn't get me to a better understanding. The spirituality of Bigfoot goes much deeper. People start coming together, they start having events, it's in podcasts, it's in social media, it's everywhere. I've heard these stories for the last year and a half now. These stories, these encounters are not something to be laughed at. And it's easy to be cynical from the outside, not having an encounter or not knowing somebody that had an encounter. When you start actually sitting and talking with people and listening to them and being empathetic and open to their experience, it'll make you change the way you feel about a lot of things. So when it comes to Bigfoot, these events happen and it actually changes people's lives. Later in life, people get fed up and they want to share. And once they start talking about these things and they start communicating with other people who've had similar experiences or people that are willing to listen, willing to talk about it, it starts building a community. But it's also an opportunity to put down the phone and get outside. People get inspired to want to go out in the woods. And whatever it was they saw, it changed their life so much that they want to keep looking for it. That's who we are. These are the things that keep us driven. And this is the spirituality, much like a religion or a patriotism. This is like that. This is where, to me, Bigfoot's a spirit. It's an idea that anything is possible and that there's a lot about this universe that we don't know. My journey isn't over. I've decided to take everything that I've learned about Bigfoot and myself and get in the best possible position to collect any evidence or have my very own encounter. I feel that more importantly, I need to keep on bringing good vibes to the Bigfoot community here in the Northeast and help chase out the toxicity and cynicism.
Hello, Mr. Mike Tinsley. How are you? You got a video that you sent in, right, sir?
Yeah, I did.
You want to check it out?
Yeah, go ahead. Play it.
All right, cool. You guys want to check out Mike Tinsley's video that he sent in?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Tim Vogel, raise your hand or we're not doing it. All right, he's in. Bobby Lady, if you're back there, could you bring up the Mike Tinsley?
Hey, Rich, I want to wish you a happy anniversary. And I got somebody here to want to wish you a happy anniversary as well.
Happy 1 year anniversary, Richie. That's a huge accomplishment. I know there's more to come. And we definitely gonna do some hanging and maybe a little ball busting.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go! Woo!
Yeah.
But congrats. That's huge.
Have a good one, Rich. You too, OJ.
Thank you, bro. Dude, that's not a video, that's a Christmas present. Holy shit.
Yeah, nice to
Thank
So,
you, sir.
That's all. Mike, quick question. Is that before or after you were arrested?
Because only if we work together will we find out if there's a man ape among us.